Hello, nobody. Can you guys help me out? Share it over to the Discord. Maybe we'll, maybe we'll get a few people.
Yeah. Notification just went out. So everybody should be getting it now. You'll start seeing everybody drop in.
Oh, Muffin Top needs me time. Yeah.
He needs to salve his sore wounds. He was out in the snow and got all chapped.
Hey, I get it. I got some maintenance to do on my motorcycle, but once that's done, I'll probably prioritize that over you guys.
Chicken legs. Boy.
Dude, you got chicken legs. Stand up
breast.
and stand up and flex me them calves. I want to see them calves. That's pretty bad. Chicken legs.
Being long needs 63, 63 and 30.
Say I got chicken
Who do we
legs.
got? We got Grit and Grace and one other person watching. Well, we got one person watching, it says. That's all right. I just want to talk to you guys anyways. Nobody has to listen.
Nobody has to know.
Muffin will pop in and out and lurking.
Yeah. 'Tis me.
Welcome back, Coop. We were just getting acquainted.
Can you guys copy and paste the invite?
Yeah.
You put that in the Discord if you want. See if anybody wants to join in.
Un momento.
Won't hurt my feelings. Oh, the wind.
That's how I was driving back from Miami today. But, my trailer is not nearly as big as what you're pulling. But, geez, it got squirrely a few times.
Yeah, you would think pulling doubles would be worse than a single 53-foot trailer, but the center of gravity is so low on them that it's actually pretty nice. It does wiggle around though. People start getting nervous and flashing their lights at me. Like I can't help it. One little tiny flick of the steering wheel and those things go crazy.
They start dancing on you.
Yeah, they're called wiggle wagons. Oh, give it up.
When I was thinking about getting my CDL, the state I was in, you're not even. They don't even have doubles. So, but I was reading about it and I was like, damn, that happens in places.
Yeah, there's all kinds of funky laws in different states. California, you're only allowed to drive 55 through the whole state.
Huh.
You're only allowed to have your tandems back to the sixth hole, so that limits how much weight you can carry.
Well, and I know, like in Hawaii, the largest containers that you can have out there legally is 45 foot.
Yeah, I don't imagine they have a very robust highway system.
It's trash. Oh, Law's trying to get back in.
So I kind of was dipping in and out when you guys first started the chat, talking about the how the bankers are about to fuck us again, except it's retirement this time and not the housing market.
Yeah. I don't know all the ins and outs of that. I just know that they ruined Remington.
I watched a video on it a couple days ago. It was a lady that was going into pretty good detail on it, and a lot of it was a lot of profitable companies are actually going bankrupt because of this right now, and the bankruptcies are higher now than they've been in 14 years. And it's because these private equities are buying into these companies and like taking loans out on the stock or something, and they're adjustable rate loans. So every time the interest rate goes up, the payments on those goes up. And one of the examples that she did was Joanne Fabrics. 95% of their stores are all profitable, and that's actually like really good for the industry, is what she was saying. Like a lot of other companies aren't anywhere near that. But despite 95% of their stores being profitable, they're closing down stores and they're about to go bankrupt because of this private equity loan fiasco. So they take on that debt, or they have the business take on that debt, and then they sell that debt to the retirement funds, like everyone's 401k and bullshit. And they package it just like they used to do in the subprime mortgage market, where they would have good loans that were actually like double A rated or something, and then all the other bad loans, they bundle them all together. And that's what crashed the housing market in 2008. But they're doing the exact same thing now, but they're going to crash everyone's retirement. I was begging my mom to take her retirement money out. She's over 65. She can take all her money out. She just has to pay taxes on it, unfortunately. But I asked her, I said, please take out like at least a third of it and just buy gold. If she would have done that when I told her to do it, she would have, man, she would have made so much money.
So if a bunch of businesses crash, in the same way that the housing market crashed, would it be a good opportunity to get into business at that point?
If you've got the capital, the startup capital,
Because
but it's going to be the same thing. Like you won't be able to get a loan to save your life. So if you're BlackRock and you suck the government's dick and get free money, yeah, you can buy up all the fucking houses and all the fucking businesses and own everything. That's their whole plan, probably.
Because I was gonna put it. I was debating on whether or not to put it in Discord or whatever. But my wife surprised me today and got me basically the last few of the things I need to basically go into business for myself. She got me a nice toolbox that has big casters on it and disc brakes and stuff, so I can get it in and out of the trailer easily. So I'm ready to rock and roll on that. So I won't need a loan.
I guess you know better than I do what you're doing, but I would caution you on having a bunch of liquid capital available. You know, a lot of people that start their own business, Like if you're any kind of trade or technician, usually you go into business for yourself and you're your own employee, or you're the only employee for a while, or maybe you hire a guy or two. But a lot of guys end up working for nothing, trying to get their business off the ground. So
Well, the only reason why I'm diving into this is because I've turned on work constantly. So I mean, I
right,
would still keep my main gig. I would just cut back on it,
okay.
until, and he's
Uh,
kind of like, well, my boss is in a position where like he couldn't get rid of me if he wanted to. He just has to roll with the punches. Like I told him the other week I'm going on vacation for 30 days in a month, and all he could do is like, well, let me know when you're gonna come back. Like that's all you can do.
if I could make a suggestion, it's called Profit First. You can download it on audio or read the actual book. I can't think of the author right off the top of my head, but definitely read that book, Profit First. And it says what most people do when they make money and like in their business for themselves is they pay all the bills and at the end of it, whatever money's left is what's left. Well, this guy advocates that you pay yourself first, and then
Looks like it.
juggle the rest.
Looks like it's called Profit
Oh,
First by
I'm downloading it now.
Michael Wicks.
Yeah, I'm downloading the one Michael Woods or what. I'm downloading it now.
Yeah, listen to that when you're driving around. And since we're on the subject, my probably my favorite book of all time has got to be damn it, Chris Voss. What the
Rich
hell's
Dad
the book
Poor Dad.
called?
Aren't you the one
What?
that's always talking about Rich Dad Poor Dad?
Yeah, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Definitely read that. But it's Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. That's one of my favorite books of all time. It comes from an FBI negotiator, and that's applicable to pretty much every business situation that is negotiating. And while we're on the subject, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's an old book, but it's still relevant. Talks about mirroring.
I know that one. I feel like I know that.
Yeah.
One.
Talks about mirroring. Like if the person you're talking to is like leaned back and crossing their arms, you do the same thing. If they're talking really fast, you talk really fast. If they're talking
I do that
slow,
every
you
day.
talk slow.
Every day. Hands in pockets if they have their hands in their pockets. Cross arms.
Yeah, it helps people be more comfortable around you.
Communication is definitely a skill, and learning how to read people and being able to combine the two really works well in a lot of situations.
And always take yes for an answer. Like once the person's agreed to your price or whatever, you just stop fucking talking, or you're gonna talk yourself out of a deal. Somebody told me that a long time ago. A really good salesman. He says, "Learn to take yes for an answer. Once you get yes, stop talking." Yeah, if my mom would have bought gold when I asked her to buy gold, she would have made like $1,000 an ounce. Because back when I was talking to her, it was just under 2,000 an ounce. Now it's almost 3. Gold has outperformed the S&P 500 this year.
Doesn't it do it like every year?
No, not generally.
Hmm.
That's the problem with the precious metal market is it's being heavily manipulated by paper. Like some crazy people invest in paper gold, like gold futures or something weird like that. I haven't looked into it heavily. I just know it's dumb.
You could invest in these four gentlemen.
I can't read it.
Well, it's backwards. It's John, Mikhail, Eugene, and Gaston. John Moses Browning, Mikhail Kalashnikov, Eugene Stoner, and Gaston Glock.
Yep. Brass is a precious metal. I feel like it'll be just as good as cash at any point going forward. There's always somebody out there willing to buy ammo.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll likely take a hit on it if you need to move it quickly, though.
I got a bunch of brass and copper from plumbing jobs that it just sits. And it's all sitting there for a day. It's
Yeah,
all sitting there for
baby.
a day.
$3,044 an ounce. I
That's
like
the
it.
spot price of gold.
Yeah, silver's back up too.
Like 38 an ounce.
33 an ounce right now. I think it was up to 38, but then it was, last time I looked, I think it was down towards 32.
I think when I looked yesterday, it was at like 33 and some change.
Felt cute. Thought I might take a selfie.
Yeah, when I was
Getting
still
racist
driving for
reloads.
Prime, yeah, reloading I think is a good thing, a skill to have, and having the materials back in case ammo becomes very scarce. But you don't save any money by doing it, unfortunately.
Especially not if you value your time.
Yeah, you got to do enough of it to work off the cost of the equipment too.
Yeah, that's what
I
I was
always enjoy
saying.
the
Even when
people.
go ahead.
I said I always enjoy when there's a run on guns and ammo, and all these guys make their mind up they're going to start reloading ammo, and then they're like, I can't find this one component. Like they've got all the recipe, but the one component, like they can't find primers, or they can't find the particular powder or whatever. And then when they do, it's 4 times what it ought to cost. But they go ahead and buy some because they need it because it's the one component they're missing for the whole load. And then now they definitely didn't save any. Like that market goes
Yeah,
nuttier than just the loaded ammo.
primers were going for stupid prices a while back. I know that. I don't know if they've come down yet. But by the primer and the bullet, almost as the cost of what you can buy ammo for. Especially if you're like I was trying to load some heavy stuff. I was doing subsonic 300 blackout, and I couldn't load it for, even though it's like $2 a round sometimes. I couldn't even hardly load it for that because the projectiles that I wanted to shoot were like over $1 a bullet.
You shooting coppers, solids, not law
Yeah,
enforcement, but I mean, for my craft.
they were just, yeah, they're copper jacketed. But I got so pissed I actually got into bullet casting. I have a lead pot and some molds. I was collecting lead weights when I was a mechanic, so I got quite a few pounds of lead from that. I even tried using the newer zinc wheel weights. I even cast some zinc bullets.
Interesting.
It's not as dense as lead though, so you only get about 80% of your grain weight for the size.
Right.
So it's a light bullet, so you have less mass, cross sectional density or whatever, and you can't push it too hard because it's a lead bullet.
Try powder coating them.
I did, but I didn't listen. A lot of guys were using Harbor Freight powder coat, and what you do is you put once the bullets are cast and cleaned off, you put them in a like a toaster oven and get them to a certain temperature, not hot
Mm-hmm.
enough to melt the lead, obviously, but just hot enough to make the powder coat stick. And you get them nice and hot, and then you just roll them around in like a container of powder coat. And if you used a specific kind of plastic, the lead in the plastic would build up an electrostatic charge, and it would make the powder coat stick to it. So then you just dump all the bullets in like a sifting tray. You sift all the loose powder coat out, and then you put the bullets back in the toaster oven until it melts the powder coat just right.
Hmm.
And some guys would take all the time and like try and stand the bullet up so they got like a nice, beautiful coat. But the guy I was doing all my learning from on YouTube, his name was Elvis Ammo. I don't know if you ever ventured upon him. I don't think he makes videos anymore. But there's usually if you just dump them in a pile, there's like little teeny scars on them, but not enough to make any kind of difference. It's not like you're trying to shoot extreme long distance or anything with these bullets. They're like 100 yards and in, subsonic plinking ammo, basically. But that's a fun rabbit hole to go down. So is reloading. Like getting into a new caliber during reloading is, oh, now I need a new shell holder. Now I need all the sizing dies. Now I need even when you change bullets, sometimes you need a different bullet depth uh, blah, 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 die, because the ogive of the bullets are different, and you can damage the tip of the bullet if you don't have uh, the right bullet setting die, depth setting die.
Mm-hmm. Neck tension.
And then
Gotta adjust that too.
there's how hard you crimp it for neck tension, how deep you set it can affect the chamber pressures.
You just bottom it out. Don't worry. Just compress that powder charge and just sink it in there. No worries.
And I had the dream, one of the progressive press that I have, they sell a kit that pulls the handle for you. So if you get it set up just right, you can hit a switch and boom, after 5 pulls, every pull after that, a completed round falls in the bin. And it's automated. All you got to do is sit there and feed the machine, feed the powder, feed the bullets, feed the primers. But I never got that thing working right. Like the powder charge was what was holding me up. Every so often, it wouldn't throw a freaking charge, and that batch of ammo, like at least once a magazine, I would end up getting a squib, and then I have to take the time to tear everything apart and punch the dang bullet out.
Get you a wooden dowel rod that's the same diameter as your bore. Pound that sucker out. And not mess up
Yeah,
your
I mean
opera.
that's what I had to do. But if you got into a go fast mode, luckily there wasn't enough. Like I don't know that it didn't throw any powder, but it didn't throw enough. And luckily it was just enough to push the bullet and not actually cycle the slide. So with the addition of it not feeling right, getting like a poof instead of a pow, so you kind of know something's wrong. So I never had any issues of like trying to shoot with the obstructed barrel.
I think 350 Legend would be cool to get into. Just accumulate a bunch of once fired brass and then go from there.
I actually shot in an indoor range next to a fool that had 350 Legend. And he had a big old tank brake on the end of this AR.
Why?
And that
It
was
doesn't kick.
unpleasant. It was unpleasant. I did not want to be in there with him. I should have left.
Well, you did. I
That's
see
when
you're
you
driving
step
down the
out.
road.
That's when you step out, wait till he's done, and then step back in.
Yeah, I should have. There was a line waiting for the range though, so
There's some guys working up some neat, just like short range loads with like powder coated 9mm bullets. Do
I
like
didn't know it was the
124
same
or
diameter.
127. Yeah,
Like it's 957, 956 or something like that.
no, it's 355 or 357. Like it's one of those that's close enough, especially by the time they're the powder coated bullets, so they work.
Yeah, that was one of the other things. If you powder coat bullets, you have to flare the brass lip, or else it just shaves that powder coat right off.
Or you get molds that are like a couple thousand or
What's the point of powder coating these bullets?
so you don't get lead fouling.
We can get what?
To reduce lead fouling
Oh,
in the bore.
makes sense.
And even that's not a huge deal. Like if you just shoot a couple rounds of brass through it, it'll punch that lead out, clean it out. I tried all kinds of stuff. The powder coat wasn't working because I didn't get the right color. Then I tried an epoxy like frame paint. That worked
What color
less.
powder coat were you using? Because I've seen red, I've seen blue. I really like
Yeah,
the
the black.
purples.
I tried black, and I was told specifically that black doesn't work for one reason or another. But I bought it anyway because I'm a retard. I'm like, I can make it work. I'm smart.
I just texted my powder coat guy and was like, "How do you feel about powder coating a bunch of bullets for me?" because I can just piggyback it on top of stuff that he does for me for work.
Yeah, it's stupid easy to do at home though. All you need is a sacrificial toaster oven, and then some sort of basket to put the bullets in.
Yeah, I have the sacrificial toaster oven already from playing with Kydex.
Yep, I use the same one for doing my kydex.
Quack says he uses orange and red.
Yeah, red and blue were supposed to work really well. And then I think he mixed up red and blue and put it together on some bullets because he didn't have enough of one to do a batch. So he mixed them
Yeah.
together. That seemed to work pretty good too. Like, hey, YouTube. Hey, today we're going to be testing out these 220 grain.
Crush Kev says he's wanted to reload slugs with a Swavrog mold. Savrog mold. I don't know if that's a typo or if I'm stroking.
Yeah, I don't know anything about reloading shotgun. I bought the press to do it, but it didn't come with anything that it's supposed to have. I picked it up for basically free, but the bottle that that the shot and goes into is missing. The bottle that the powder goes into is missing. So I've never reloaded shotgun shells. I don't shoot shotgun near enough to even entertain it.
Patriot from Warsaw is in backstage if you want to let him in. What's your reloader? Is it like one of the Hornadies or?
I think one of my progressive I think is a Hornady, and my single reloader I think is a Lyman.
Yeah. Cool.
I have no clue what that shotgun reloader is.
What color is it?
Red.
Probably Hornady.
Could be an old like 4 brands.
Could be an old Lee.
Oh,
what up, Patriot
my
from Warsaw?
You just call me Patriot, dude.
Hey-o.
How's it going, Pat?
Not too bad.
You driving safe out there?
Oh, yeah. It's not me I'm worried about. It's everybody else.
Yep.
Good luck, Bambi.
I don't care what people tell me. You have to pay me serious good money in order to become a trucker.
Yeah, it doesn't pay like it should, in my opinion. I'm kind of on the path right now, though. So.
I mean, I bet it comes with a lot of stress, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Sleep deprivation, also another thing.
Sleep deprivation. Nobody knows how to drive around a truck. All the rules and regulations.
And you also got federal statutes on that as well.
Oh, yeah, all that stuff. The rules in every state are different depending on what hole your tandems can be in. There's so many pitfalls.
So, you doing stateside or across country?
I'm local for the moment. I run from Newville, Pennsylvania to Middletown, Connecticut and back every night.
Oh, nice.
But this is my last week. Next week, my wife and I are going to start team driving again.
Oh, awesome.
And we're going to run from Hagerstown, Maryland to Phoenix, Arizona and back once a week.
Holy shit, man. That's a long drive.
Yep, it's just over 2,000 miles each way.
You'll be a professional road tripper.
I mean, I did it for almost 3 years with Prime. We hit all 50 states, all over the place.
I'm guessing New York City too.
I did not go into New York City. They never even asked me to go into New York City.
From what I've gathered, it's a fucking nightmare.
Yeah. Somebody I was talking to that used to do it said if you make the wrong turn in New York City, it could require a crane to get out.
And of course, you got Chicago. That's another big city.
Never really went into downtown Chicago either. Definitely on the outskirts of it.
So you said you drove all 50 states. Was your truck
Yep.
a submarine? Take it down to Hawaii?
Lower 48. You know what I'm trying to say. We were just talking about sleep. We were just talking about sleep deprivation. Okay.
Yeah, the longest
I didn't go to.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And then lawfully had to come and being an asshole.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Pat. What you said?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say the longest I've gone without sleep is 4 days in a row.
Whew. I've never gone that long, but I routinely go 24 hours
Yeah, don't do
without
it.
sleep.
Your eyes burn like crazy after the 4th day.
Everybody should try going without sleep for a long period of time just to see how their body reacts. Because if you ever have to do it, you won't freak out.
The world record who's actually done it, longest he lasted was 11 days straight, and he had almost had to go to the hospital for that.
Well, as much as I would like to participate in your experiment, my neurologist says to get plenty of rest.
Yep. I'm guessing you also deal with a lot of state troopers up there, Pat?
Yeah, 81 in particular, they're like freaking road pirates on this road. There's not a day goes by I don't see at least one truck pulled over. And they will do level 1 inspections right there on the side of the road.
Well, man, what was it? I think it was last year. They had a big bus near Chicago. They had tons of fucking meth and fentanyl that was actually inside the fucking truck.
For the most part, they like to screw with like the more independent trucks, though.
Mm-hmm.
If you drive for a big carrier, like Prime is like the second largest carrier in the country, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't mess with us too much. Actually, I drive for a FedEx contractor now, and they don't mess with us either. Oh, the other thing you got to contend with now is the nanny cam. Most carriers have cameras in their trucks, and they're some of them are AI powered.
Oh, jeez.
It will it's inward facing and outward facing. So if you're too close to the vehicle in front of you, it'll squeak. If you're too close to the lines, it will squeak. If you put your hand up to your face for too long, it'll squeak at you and say distracted driving. If you look at your side view mirror, your side mirrors too long, it'll give you distracted driving. It's fun.
So
Luckily,
it's watching your eyeballs.
Yeah.
It's creepy.
Luckily, my camera's not very well adjusted, so if I glance at my phone, it doesn't catch me.
And I'm not a trucker, but don't you have a sleep log as well you have to fill out?
No, you have an electronic driving log. You have 11 hours of drive time a day or 14 hours of on-duty time.
Mm-hmm.
And to get your time back, you have to be in sleeper berth or off duty for 10 hours before you get your hours back. So I guess technically, yeah, it's a sleep log.
Because I know there's some laws they just made where you have to have everything on record now.
I haven't heard anything like that. It's all done electronically for the most part.
Well, before it was electronic, they could technically get away with certain things, especially trying to advance, get more hours or something.
Yeah, you run. A lot of guys would run two separate logs,
Exactly.
and depending on where you were in your actual drive, you would which one you would show the cop.
Back in the day with paper logs.
Yeah, and at one point during COVID, I think they actually suspended the freaking driving limitations, so you could drive until you couldn't anymore. Or was that a hurricane? That might have been a hurricane when they were trying to get supplies down to that area. So I know, Patriot, you jumped into a chat before. You had a lot of information on Ukraine. Yeah, what's the latest?
From what we gathered, just both sides are just killing each other off, and one side says it's winning, one side says it's winning. It's like, you know what? Let's just play it out, see how it plays out.
So every war
Yep.
ever.
I mean, here's the sad thing though: is Russian state media is literally portraying us like we're literally giving in to Putin. I mean, it's the Russian Federation. It's not like the United States. It's all controlled.
Yeah, my opinion is changing on that whole situation. What I was led to believe by whatever sources that I was paying attention to, I thought Putin wanted a ceasefire. He wanted to actually end the war.
Yep, it was a bluff, dude. It's all bullshit. He just wants to
Yeah.
get parts of Europe.
But after that whole phone call situation where he just blew off of the president of the United States.
Yep.
And like televised this meeting and laughed about blowing off the president. And then I'm not sure if it was completely intentional, but 2 hours after that phone call where they agreed to not attack infrastructure for 30 days, then they blew up some power plant.
They also blew up a hospital.
Yeah. Like, was that a lack of comms out on the front, or was that just a big fuck you to the United States?
I don't know what to make of it, dude. It's the news outlets all out of Ukraine. They also got their own spin on things, so you got to take things with a grain of salt. At this point, it's like, you know what? Just let them fight it out and figure this out.
Yeah. I'm definitely, my opinion of the whole situation is changing, but I still don't think we should be funding it. I think Europe should be picking up the biggest part of this because it's not our fight.
Well, I mean, we've been fighting this for what, since 2013? It's been going on.
But now I think I just lied because it kind of is our fault. We did
Started the color revolution.
Yeah, we did do the color revolution and depose the elected leader of the country and like install our own puppet or whatever.
Thanks,
well, the
Obama.
CIA did. The CIA did, anyways.
Well, they also had a issue where they wanted to vote on it. Ukraine had a pretty much a election. It was on a vote if they wanted to be part of Europe or they wanted to side with more Russia, and majority of them sided with Europe. The only ones that wanted to side with Russia was the Luhansk and Donetsk, and you also got Crimea. Those are the three areas that they wanted to be part with Russia.
And the lines of these countries they're just imaginary lines that somebody drew some time ago. Like,
not necessarily.
Like, I don't know. It's hard to imagine like why you would force like those areas that would rather be part of Russia, just force them to still be part of your country.
I mean,
But
Russia. It's
we're
Russia,
kind of in the
dude.
same situation. We're kind of in the same situation in the United States. There's several areas where Northern California would like to break off and become part of Idaho. What is it? There's a couple situations like
You're
that.
talking about Iowa, no, Idaho and Oregon. You're talking about.
Yeah, Idaho and Oregon, but or is Northern California just wants to be its own state of Jefferson or something like that. There's a few situations like Southern Virginia wanted to be part of West Virginia again,
What was
and
to Indiana and Illinois.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Pretty much Illinois wants to possibly join Indiana because they want to succeed from Chicago. I'd say they should do it. Actually, I'd like to see it give the big fat fuck you to Chicago.
But like I said, these lines, in my opinion, they're just imaginary lines drawn on a map somewhere, unless it's the border is a river, which they did that a lot. But if a certain group of people just don't align with the views of the rest of the people of that state, why shouldn't we reorganize a little bit? Well, the main reason is because the big cities that actually control the politics, because of their tax cattle that they keep in the cities, they want that tax revenue, they want that power, and if they allow those people to join another state, they lose all of that.
Mm-hmm.
If we could somehow institute, how do we elect the president? The electoral college. If you could do electoral college voting for like your governors in a state, to where two cities don't control the politics of the entire state, I feel like that would go a long way into fixing things and having some rural communities be able to get representation in their state.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been noticing a lot of conflict within the Democratic Party. I'd say it's the Democratic Party is split in two factions right now. You got the progressives and you got the moderates. We lose Pat.
He hit
USAID.
Terry's bed.
What's up, Pat?
Looks like what we found when we went into USAID and kind of audited what the hell they were doing. Finding out that some of these politicians were being funded by our own tax money, like that's so shady. And you always wondered, like, I mean, not every situation has an exception, but it's like the Democrats would always outspend the Republican by double. Like, where the hell does all that money come from? Like, seriously. And as it turns out, you son of a bitch.
He just cut in front of you.
Yeah.
The last minute notice, buddy.
I just had to slam on the brakes. What was I
Get the
saying?
grappling hook ready.
The Democrats always seem to outspend the Republican candidate by double. And you're wondering where all that freaking money come from. Well, they were stealing it from us.
Yep.
So even the conservatives or the Republicans or the libertarians, everybody was funding the Democrat. And I'm sure there's some of that going on the Republican side, but the vast majority of it seems to only go one direction.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? John Podesta started up a nonprofit and got like $7 billion. So with that funding going away, and the other theory I had about the elections, about how when Doge went into the Social Security and found millions of people that are obviously deceased but still on the rolls. And then a couple of months ago, there was a story going around where hundreds of thousands of people were being registered to vote in the various states. And they were using the Social Security Administration to verify the Social Security numbers to make sure that they were legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
So millions of obviously deceased people on the roll and hundreds of thousands a week being registered in the states. It seems if those two things were to correlate at all, like are the Democrats really as strong as we think they've been the last 20 years? Because it's a very small number of people that are pushing for this really crazy stuff, the transgender stuff and the abortion stuff and all that. It seems like a very small minority.
There's I think a representative out of Chicago. She's a person of color, but she's actually wanting to legalize option of assaulting an officer, claiming, "Oh, you're in a medical situation, you can assault an officer." Yeah, let that sink in. That's stupid.
So it kind of makes me think. A lot of people have told me in the past that Russia and China are paper tigers. They pretend that they're much larger than they are, or much bigger of a threat.
They are.
I kind of feel like the Democratic Party is the same way. I don't think it's nearly as large or as well funded as they've let on over the past few years. So this next election, I want to see what, like maybe in the midterms, their money hasn't quite dried up yet because they were taking billions. But in the next few years, I'd like to see how the elections actually pan out.
You talk about billions. I think there's more than that, dude. I mean, they've been doing us since I'd say Carter era.
Well, hopefully that money starts drying up, and we'll see what happens. It'll be awfully suspicious if the Democrats stop outspending the Republicans by, double or triple. And what's that going to do in the election cycles? How's that going to play out when it comes to the actual votes?
Pat, did you see what they happened in New York?
Not recently.
New York court. I just sent you the video on the Discord. New York court strikes down non-sitting voting law. Win for citizens. So they struck down the whole voting law for illegals. 800,000 non-citizens voted in that past election.
I know they allow them to vote in like local elections, but did they just prove that it was the federal election, or is it just local elections?
I don't know, but they just really just struck down that law that allowed that many illegals.
I mean, we all knew they were doing it. Why else were you letting millions of people into the country, and why were you moving them to various? Why were you moving them into swing states and in key areas? Like obviously hint, hint, wink, wink. We're going to go ahead and give you a driver's license. And oh, by accident, we registered you to vote when we gave you a driver's license. Oops.
Well, not just that, but because their heads get counted during the census, citizen or not.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a lot more diluted. Like, yeah, it can make a difference, but not as much as the illegal vote. Because I've said it before in the past. It's a lot of elections come down to hundreds or thousands of votes. And if you put 500,000 illegals in an area and only 10% of them go vote illegally, then you're swinging elections.
Yeah, but it makes a big difference when you realize how few people actually go vote. Like not even half of the citizenry votes.
And it's probably better that way.
It's a no.
If you made it mandatory to vote, can you imagine? Like, I don't want to say the words, but can you imagine some people being forced to
Oh
vote,
yeah.
like people that don't pay
Uh,
attention to politics whatsoever, and their life
I'd say-
consists of smoking weed, collecting a check, and
I mean,
like I don't want everyone to vote. I don't agree with that. I'm not so sure
Uh,
everyone should be allowed to vote.
you should see it as like jury duty. Like, if you didn't go to jury duty, you get arrested.
Are you saying we should make voting mandatory?
I'd say it'd be mandatory, and if you didn't show up to be voting, you can go to jail.
I
just
do not
wish
agree with
more
that.
people felt
There's
obligated.
Voting is a civil duty. I hate to say it though, but it is a civil duty.
Yep.
I won't disagree that it might be. You can consider it a civic duty, but some people are just too dumb. I don't want their opinion. It's just like the fall of Rome. It became a complete democracy. Once the people figure out they can vote themselves, other people's stuff, you're just on a straight track to hell at that point.
It's like why I
Because
question people.
there's more of them than there are of us. So they're gonna vote our.
Oh, he's gotten out.
Like, I need to increase your taxes so I can get more welfare and food stamps and child care assistance and
I mean, what was I going to mention? Oh yeah, when people vote, I question their mindset, like exactly what you're thinking, Pat. Because sometimes I think if they're willing to vote away their Second Amendment rights, what's stopping them from voting away their First Amendment rights and freedom of speech and their voting rights?
well, I feel like that's the whole point. Uh, the democratic cities, there's such a cluster of people there that if you can keep them fat and happy, offer them safety the only price is your rights, but you'll be safe and fed and
What's next?
entertained.
What's next? You want to live under a commune?
Not me.
I'm just saying for them.
That's what. Yeah. That's what they're offering. I mean, I hate to say it. It almost sounds racist, but it's kind of like it's still slavery. It's just the bunkhouse is better, and they don't whip you anymore.
Get them hot Cheetos.
That gives you colon cancer, by the way. No, I'm
to
not
be
saying
fair, what doesn't cause cancer anymore?
no, but no, hot Cheetos and Takis, that type of shit. They found out that actually increased their high risk of cancer in your colon.
Well, luckily I got a white guy stomach. I can't take the hot stuff.
Yeah, I stopped eating that shit a long time ago.
I used to eat the crap out of warheads though. That shit would make my mouth bleed eventually.
Sheesh, man.
Now, I don't know what the hell those things are made out of, but I haven't had them since I was a teenager. Yeah, I'm in favor of changing the way the voting goes. I like the idea of somebody who's a net taxpayer. Like I think I want to say it's something like the lowest 40% of wage earners actually don't pay anything in taxes when you factor in what they get back in taxes for the year. Like if you're not actually contributing, then I don't think you should have a say. Or there's other ways you can do it. Like Vivek said when he first started running for president, make like some civil duty kind of thing. Like if you sign up for selective service, then you get the right to vote.
Like what?
It don't matter.
You get conscripted in the
Don't.
military.
Yeah, but
What's it?
you can be other roles. Like not everyone's going to go into combat. Like you still need truck drivers. You still need you have to some sort of civil service, not necessarily just military.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, was it Switzerland? They have a like a duty where you got to be in there for less than 2 years in the military.
I'm not opposed to that. We got to make some major changes in our society, though, because we're like 60% obese, I think, in this country. I say that as a fat guy, an obese guy. But I've never ate like a fat guy. Like, I don't sit down and eat Twinkies, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I would give up the right to vote unless you were a landowner, as long as they made it where it was illegal for commercial companies to buy residential property.
I would agree with that.
That way, only property owners could vote.
Now, here's a crazy thought, Pat. I don't know if this would work or not, and people are telling me it's not going to work. I don't know. I'm already hearing both sides of this. Would you be open if possibility if Canada, Alberta itself, the province of Alberta, joined the United States?
What's the question?
If there was a referendum, if Alberta out of Canada had an election and wanted to join and succeed from Canada and join the Union of America, would you be okay with that?
I'm not familiar with a lot of their politics. Is that the more conservative area? I know the western part of the state is generally more conservative.
Last I checked, it's a rich province. It's actually one of the richest out there over other provinces, and it's conservative leaning.
That's tough.
The only problem is they're going to be facing is Trudeau and England. Those are the two things they're going to have to get through.
Yeah, I mean, lawyers can figure the rest of it out, and I'd say I'd be open to it.
The problem is it's Canada, dude. It's not like the United States.
Yeah, even their conservatives are freaking progressive whack jobs, it seems. But I think a lot of the people just don't run that way. The way they have their government set up, it's a small minority can take control of the whole country. Yeah. What is it? Trudeau gets like 30% of the vote, and he's like president for life. That's the way it seems up there, anyways.
I think Trudeau actually he stepped down. I forget who's the next guy that's up there again. Let's see, what's this guy up there? New leader of Canada. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't pay attention to their politics very much. I did hear that Trudeau stepped down. I wasn't sure if he had done it yet.
He apparently stepped down. I'm looking at the new Prime Minister of Canada, Carney. Yeah, this guy wasn't even elected. Mark Carney.
Yeah, if they became one of our states, then they would be under our Constitution. They couldn't run things as usual. They'd be just like any other state. They'd have a governor and two houses.
Mm-hmm. And of course, they have to get rid of most British law out of their system. Most of it. I mean, they have.
Well, yeah, they'd be under all of our laws and our Constitution. So.
Yep.
So they'd have the Second Amendment. They'd have the First Amendment. like those people straight up need rescued. Like they're getting put in jail for Facebook posts.
I mean, that's just, it's not just Canada, though, Pat. It's also happening in Germany and France, and even England.
Yeah, all over the place.
Australia.
Yep.
But like I tell my wife, we can't adopt every sob story puppy that she comes across. Like you can't save the world.
No. But you could help get along with people that care about you.
Yeah. Say a good man draws a circle around himself and his family and takes care of them. A greater man draws a larger circle and takes in more people. Like we can only help so many people, and I
Yep.
think starting in the United States and our own continent would be a good place to start. I think we should take a big back seat to anything happening in the Middle East or Europe. Like maybe logistically we can support what needs to happen over there,
It's just
but
the problem is with the Ukraine right now. I mean, whether we like it or not, we did get involved by volunteers and other things out there. My biggest concern right now is Poland. Poland's not looking good, guys. I mean, they're gearing up for a possibly invasion from Russia.
is there any buildup anywhere close to their borders?
Oh yeah, their Polish
Oh,
army is literally gearing up, dude.
Like
they're not getting.
on the Russian side, like
Uh,
is there anything from the Russian side that makes it look like they're going to invade, or is Poland just being Poland?
it's a little bit of both, but Belarus is also armed near the border as well as the Russian border near Ukraine. It's just they literally are getting young kids like out of high school to join their ranks. Like they're telling them, like, no, you got mandatory duty. You're getting in.
Like I just can't. That's just one more situation that I just don't have the brain power. Like, are you kidding me? The
I'm
Middle
just
East
telling you.
is Middle East is heating up and more conflict over there. Jeez.
I mean, whether you like it or not, Pat, we either fund the war or we ourselves are getting involved in it.
Just so long as we can trick people to taking our fake money, I guess we'll be okay.
Don
last
says
time,
he doesn't want
go ahead.
Canada to become the United States. He said he's not convinced Canada can be repaired. And then Mark Legion said the EU passed a law that says they have the right to come after anyone in the world if they feel is speaking hate.
Yeah,
It sounds
I'd
like
like to see. I'd really like to see that happening in the United States. I saw somebody made a joke video about it. He dressed up like a cop and came to somebody's door, and it says a UK constable coming over to the United States to enforce their speech law. Like, well, I don't think that's going to end well for you.
You know what that sounds like, Pat? It sounds like the communist occupied east side of Germany, the Stasi. Stasi police.
Yeah, in history, the people trying to police speech don't usually end up being the good guys.
Nope. I mean, hell, they're doing that shit in China.
Yeah.
You speak out against their fucking ruler. Oh yeah, go bye.
And I'm not sure. Like, I almost feel like the World War II caused all this because all the men, vast swaths of the men ended up going to war and getting killed, and the only thing left
Mhm.
were pansies and women after that, and just like there's countries slowly went into decline after that.
Well, especially the European nations. They've
Yeah,
had
that's what I'm
multiple
saying.
generations churned, crushed by the war machine.
The Second World War actually created the greatest generation, especially out of our military.
Yeah, in our country, the greatest generation in our country. I don't know about over there.
Actually, it did.
The reason we were so prosperous is because we were the only manufacturing that wasn't completely wiped out, or at least heavily damaged.
Yep.
And we didn't lose a huge majority of our young men. We gave a lot of lives, no doubt, but per capita, much less than the other nations.
A lot of Eastern European countries lost their lives too. Predominantly Poland being the biggest.
I kind of feel like that's the way. That's why Scotland went the way it was. Uh, some of those the Jacobite uprisings and stuff in Scotland. I have a feeling that they like wiped out a big majority of like the men's men, and then the only people left were the ones willing to surrender and cuck to the United Kingdom.
Nothing good comes out of England. Not even the Irish would bend the knee to the English.
I mean, eventually they did.
Unless you're Northern
But
Irish.
yeah, yeah, the Troubles. But but even now they're like taking in the citizenry doesn't want to take in all the refugees, but the government, which has been infiltrated by like refugees, basically, are forcing them to come in. I've seen videos of the people trying to run them out, and then the cops show up and like start arresting people.
Well, you got to blame the UK for something. Damn you, England.
What did they say? The most popular boy's name in London is Mohammed. Like that's what happens if you have unchecked immigration.
I mean, England didn't just fuck over Ireland and Scotland. They fucked over a lot of nations. Even Poland, they fucked over in Czech Republic.
You could probably make an argument that they fucked over the world. I mean, in India, Africa.
Yep.
The sun never sets on the empire.
You know who was the biggest failure in my eyes for the Second World War?
Italy?
No, for England, it was Naval Chamberlain. He gave in to Hitler and gave in Czechoslovakia to Germany. Then after that, it was Poland.
Is that what they said? The appeasement, where they tried to appease him before the war started.
Exactly. Yep. Treaty of Versailles. I think it was Treaty of Versailles.
And the whole time they were secretly building tanks and war machines.
Yep. And you think England didn't do that the first time? After the Second World War ended, England told its RAF fighters, the Royal Air Force pilots, some of them were actually from Poland and actually served in that platoon. They told him to go back to the fucking communist occupied Poland after the war ended. And if that doesn't scare you and shock you enough, England also, by the way, mind you, covered up and buried a murder massacre caused by the Soviet Union, known as the Katyn Massacre. The Soviet Union rounded up thousands of Polish army officers and pretty much blamed it on the Germans when they actually were at fault for doing it. Ordered by Stalin, enemy of the state.
Yeah, the Russians were allies, but they were certainly not the good guys.
Nope. And that was under Churchill, by the way. Prime Minister Churchill. And
Who was it? It was. Was it Patton that said that when we finally defeated Germany, that we should have marched into Russia?
Yeah, pretty much, and I think we should have. Patton was actually not wrong with the Russian ideology. It was no different when we were fighting against the Germans.
Yeah, he said we fought the wrong enemy, and then shortly after that, he died, unalived.
Yep. And apart from the Katyn Massacre, Pat, they didn't just do the things over in Czechoslovakia or Poland. They did it to Ukraine too, by the way. There was a reporter by the name of Mr. Jones who actually went out there in the Ukraine because he thought the communist utopia of Russia was actually a thing that was good. Well, he went out to Ukraine and he saw the atrocities of the Holodomor.
The famine.
And the man-made famine by Stalin. After he documented everything, he actually, believe it or not, was in China or Mongolia, and well, guess what? He was killed. It's always fucking England. You still there, Pat?
Yep.
You know what the weird thing too
Contemplating.
is? What's weird about England and Russia, believe it or not, that most of those people are actually related to one another.
They were all cousins.
Yep. The Romanovs being one of them.
You ever put any stock to that thing that was going around about all the American presidents? Like they're all descendants of like the royal line or something weird like that.
I haven't seen that.
I don't remember the exact specifics, but it's every single American president. You could trace some of their lineage back to one of the royal families or something. I can't remember what all the details of it, but it's weird.
They have like a shared 12th great grandfather.
Sometimes it makes you think that there's forces behind the scene that you don't see. I don't know if you call it the World Economic Forum or the New World Order or whatever it is. The Illuminati.
Deep state.
Sometimes it's well, that's just for the United States. It seems like there's something more global.
What, a cabal?
Yeah.
That's what they call it.
Like George Carlin said, the real owners of this country don't want you to be free and all that, whatever he said.
What, cabal?
Yeah.
That's what they called it in the series Blacklist. You can watch on Netflix.
And I know some people don't put any stock in the theory, but these people that worship Moloch and burn owl effigies in the middle of the woods and sacrifice children, it's almost like they're trying to cast a spell on you and by telling you what they're going to do and you don't do anything about it, you give them de facto permission, which gives them the power. Like they make movies about stuff that they're going to do to you, and then when it happens and you don't stop them, it's like you're giving consent.
You're talking like California.
Just the whole United States government. I know. What is it? The something Grove,
Bohemian Grove, yes.
Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, well aware of that.
You know, there's some really rich people that, you know, once you've got so much money, you just get bored, and you got to start doing some really outlandish shit. And when you've got enough money, the rules just do not apply to you. You know, via the Epstein client list.
Oh, you know, they just did more of that.
That got leaked out, by the way. It finally came out.
Like a black book of clients.
No, the whole information of the case and everything. Everything all came out now. Pam Bondi just released it.
I'm black pilled on that whole situation. Any incriminating information on like the big guys, the politicians and the rich bastards that were in that, like all that evidence has been scrubbed and moved and destroyed.
Oh, it wasn't just Epstein. I mean, you got what? P. Diddy. That's another one. And you got Abercrombie and Finch, the founders of the fucking clothing factory.
Yeah, all that. You talk about when Obama was in office, they came up with some information, like he spent $40,000 on pizza, and you know, according to some, that's code.
Yeah, well, where that's
Pizza
sick.
and hot dogs or whatever. Like, why would you have a meeting at the White House and spend $40,000 on pizza? Like those people don't eat pizza. They eat freaking, you know, filet mignon and you know what I mean?
Steak and lobster.
Well, look at P. Diddy. Look what he was doing to fucking Justin Bieber. I'm like, wait, Justin was doing that for over a fucking decade? Holy shit, man.
So what? Oh, excuse me, Eddie. What did he do to Justin Bieber?
P. Diddy was fucking like molesting him, dude, raping him.
More than just him.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the footage of him, you know, encountering P. Diddy, he was not happy. Like, he didn't want to be around him or anything. And honestly, I feel sorry for the guy. I mean, it's fucking.
I don't know if I can say a majority, but there's a lot of people in that industry that were brought in like that.
Well, then they're forced into it. It's
Yeah.
sick.
There's a video of Oprah Winfrey sitting next to a young girl. I can't remember who it was, and next to Harvey Weinstein. And just from the photo, it looks like Oprah is like offering this girl to Harvey Weinstein. Like you can see on her face like she's uncomfortable. It's just the whole thing is creepy. I wish some hackers, you know, could find all this real information and just put it all out. And I don't care who it touches. I don't give a shit if it says Donald Trump was on the fucking island. Well, he was on the fucking island.
Actually, we did have a hacker. We did have one. Can you remember him, Pat? Obama time? It was during Obama time.
You know, I'm sure there's groups of people out there that could somehow access this information. If it's ever been digitized, I'm sure they can get a hold of it.
No,
And
Edward. I was thinking Edward Snowden.
oh yeah, he was doing the survey. He blew the whistle
Yeah.
on the surveillance state and all that.
What Trump needs to do is have him be, pardoned and protected. The thing is, if he comes back to the States, I think he's going to get off.
I mean, the damage is done. What's the point of assassinating him now?
Dude, revenge, dude. There's people that probably want him dead. This is my theory. If that's what's going to happen if he ever comes back to the States. God forbid. I mean, he pissed off the Hornet's Nest with the CIA. CIA and NSA.
Yeah, I would like to see him pardoned. He obviously didn't do it the right way, but I don't know how you can blame him because I've paid attention to several whistleblowers, and if you do things the right way and you go through the complete proper channels, by the time you're like, you got to get lawyers, and it takes years for your information to like make it to the right people, and then you have to hope that the political will of like the Congress is on your side at that point.
Yep.
Like if you're trying to expose corruption and dirty dealings, and by the time it all works out through the courts and everything, if the Democrats are in charge, then nobody gives a shit, and you've lost your job. You're a pariah, and people are going to start messing with the brake lines on your car, all for nothing. So is it better to go through the proper channels and do things the right way, or is it better to do what Snowden did and just fucking give it to the press?
Yeah.
Like I think this one guy, he was on Tim Pool. He was a whistleblower, and he started telling his stories about how his car malfunctioned and his wheel fell off of his car. Uh, there's like people following him around and shit, and he came home one day and his laptop was open and on, and he went through all the proper channels, did everything the legal way, and by the time the information was finally able to be released, like one senator gave a shit, and nothing ever happened with the information. So, Justin B. Lawfully, what do you got?
Mark Legion was saying several minutes ago, that he wants to know what the hell is in that underground facility in Mariupol. The Soviets started something, the Nazis continued it, and then the Soviets took it back. Then Ukraine didn't really want to give it up, and the Russians really, really wanted it back. He thinks it's something like eugenics going on down there.
I mean, do you really want to go down the Nazi rabbit hole of all the shit that they were into?
It was Second World War. It's not modern day stuff, right? It's Second World War they're thinking.
I mean, we can start talking about the Nazi bell, which was most likely a time machine.
Tell me, Dr. Rick Tobin.
I don't have I can't remember all the details, but they had some program going where they were messing with this bell-shaped device.
It was
that
UFO,
was
right?
there's supposedly pictures of it levitating and like flying.
Huh.
But there's also like the main guy that was working on that when the war started coming to an end, like the guy just disappeared off the face of the earth. And then in the 50s or 60s, I want to say, in the United States, there was pictures of something that looked very, very similar to that. And a German guy like gets out of it. And the insinuation is that it was like a time machine and it somehow went forward in time. A huge thing for this local area where they weren't sure if it was a UFO or whatever it is. But it's really interesting when you get into the details of it. I'm sure a quick little Google search you could find out about it.
Okay.
And like I said before about eugenics, they got into a lot of that stuff.
It's a good thing we didn't lose the war. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody ever watch The Man in the High Castle?
That's what I was going to get at. Yeah, I've seen the whole series.
As what would happen if the Nazis had won the Second World War and the United States was all Nazis?
Well, it was German occupied. Then you had the coast, the East Coast was Germany, and then the West Coast was all occupied by Japan.
Yeah, that was a pretty good show. Then they started getting into multiple dimensions and stuff.
It's based on a book, believe it or not.
Yeah, a lot of things could have been different. You know, the butterfly effect, very small things.
What was
Like
the other
imagine where we would be right now if Trump didn't turn his head. But if Kamala Harris is our president, completely unelected
Mm-hmm.
to the in the primaries.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine where we'd be if Archduke Ferdinand Magellan's driver had not made the wrong turn, and that kid from the Black Hand got an opportunity to take a second whack at him.
Elaborate on the Magellan's navigator.
Archduke Ferdinand Magellan. The cousin that was killed that started World War One. The
Okay.
Serbian Black Hand. The Serbian Black Hand tried to bomb his car, and they missed. But somebody got hurt, and so the Archduke and his wife got out or whatever. They changed their route, and then when they were going back, the crowd formed, and so that made the driver take a different turn, and that gave one of the guys that had been in the failed attempt earlier in the day the opportunity to run up and shoot at him.
That was convenient.
Yeah. So World War One was started with 6 rounds or 7 rounds of .380. So don't ever let anybody say that .380 is not good.
I still can't get over that scene, by the way.
Mark Legion says the world's divided into 13 kingdoms.
No, the scene of the Second World War, the most bloodiest scene I've seen in any War II movie was Saving Private Ryan, Omaha Beach.
Oh yeah.
There were kids as young as 14 years old that lied about their ages to get into the fucking war. "14 and 15 years old get shot to pieces by Germans."
And have you guys ever watched The Fat Electrician?
Oh yeah, all the time.
He goes back and dives deep into stories of certain battles and certain generals and stuff. The incompetence of some of those situations, like you just throw hundreds and hundreds of men into the meat grinder, and incompetence stacking on more incompetence. It's unfathomable. Like those people thought, all right, Justin B, you're not talking, and no more echo. Oh, there's a little bit of an echo, but much less. Uh, yeah, and I guess those movies, they don't even really do it justice. But like just actually being there, there's got to be a different way. Was it the Pacific, which was like the other side of the war, like the companion series to Band of Brothers?
Band of Brothers, the
Mhm.
Pacific. Then he also had his new one that came out, Masters of the Air, B-17 bomber pilots.
Oh, I gotta watch that. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it just came out last year.
But the Guardians of the Pacific, they talk about this airfield that they had to assault. So they just start like charging across this airfield and getting all mashed, getting all ground up because the Japanese on the other side of the airfield, like there's other directions there are directions other than forward. Like instead of going straight across this airfield, like why wouldn't you go around it or something? I don't know. I'm not a military guy, so I could be dumb. And the way it's looking, we're not going to be sending the men into the grinder anymore, anyways. I don't know if you've seen that latest Boston Dynamics robot, but the thing can do freaking cartwheels and breakdance.
Yeah, we're gonna fight with Chappie.
Oh, we're not going to fight with Chappie. And that's not true. I don't. Maybe if China starts mass producing those things, it'll be like the freaking Clone Wars with the separatist dropships coming in and dropping off all the drones and the robots.
See you, Dom. Have a good evening. What do you think about giants in Ukraine?
I've heard about giants in Afghanistan. I didn't hear about them in Ukraine.
No, I've looked into the giants of Afghanistan, like the Kandahar giant.
Tell me more.
The story goes pretty much a unit or a regiment of the army soldiers were out there, and let's just put it this way: there was a war between this giant and the soldiers, and the giant didn't make it, and it was covered up by the army itself and brought back the body to the States. Yep.
I've seen some pretty compelling evidence that there fairly recently have been giants. There's that island off the coast of California somewhere where they were supposedly found a bunch of giant skeletons. There's a bunch of mounds in the United States that over time have been uncovered, and a lot of them contain giant men.
I mean, I don't
The
know.
one they actually cut the guy's legs off to make him fit in this boat or something that they buried him in.
I mean, I don't know if you guys are religious or not, but theoretically, those are probably the remains of a Nephilim.
The Anunnaki.
You don't know what the Nephilim are?
Yeah, I know what the Nephilim are.
I mean,
You ever
one could say that David and Goliath in general, the giant, was actually a Nephilim. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if there actually was skeletal remains of those things.
they I want to say there was a television show called Searching for Giants or something like that. They went over a lot of instances where people uh, say they have found the remains of giants, and a lot of them call like the Smithsonian Institute. I don't know why. Like think they're gonna like come verify the results or something, but they usually just end up taking the evidence, and then when you inquire about it later, they're like, "What are you talking about? We don't have anything like that." But I think it's a
Yep.
little bit of both. Like some
You always
people just
seem
come
to,
across a really tall guy and they're like, "Oh, a giant," but then I would not rule out the fact that there are people 7, 8 feet, 10 feet tall. There's a legend that comes from one of the Native American tribes about these red-headed giants that lived in this cave, and they would come out and abduct people and eat them.
Yep.
And they chased them into some cave and like lit a fire outside and suffocated them with the smoke on the inside. And then apparently later somebody went in there and excavated in the cave and found some of these bones. And some of the bones were charred, like they were burned to death. And all that evidence miraculously disappeared.
Yeah.
I can see places like Afghanistan, like the up in the mountains and Himalayas like that, how an intelligent creature, man, whatever they are, could stay hidden for a good long time.
Yep.
I think it was Mr. Ballin, or I don't know, somebody I listened to that brings out those stories was talking about the giant in Afghanistan. Like these soldiers were talking to these locals, and the locals were telling them about the giant man that they go see sometimes, and they take him food and it. And then the story I heard was like one unit ended up disappearing in some mountain pass, and then they sent in more guys to go see what happened to them, and then they're the ones that ran into the giant and ended up killing him. And I'm watching that. I think it's Prime Video. The Book of David is the story of David and Goliath.
Mhm.
And I haven't gotten through the whole thing yet. I don't think it's all out yet. So he hasn't actually faced down Goliath yet.
Hey, Pat, I gotta hop off, but I appreciate the invite, man.
Yeah. Anytime.
Yep. Hey,
Not a whole lot of people watching.
Yeah, you safe travels, man. Stay safe.
Yep. Have a good one.
You too.
Later, Patriot.
Okay, so I guess it wasn't Justin B. Causing the back feed.
Was it you?
I don't know. Could be. But I hear echo of myself. Unmute Justin B. Hello. Hello? Let's try. Lawfully armed. It says unmute, so I guess you're already muted. Let's try.
Yes.
Justin B will mute. Hello, hello, hello. I don't hear it right now. Lawfully, are you muted? Yeah, you're muted. Yeah, so
Not now.
I'm hearing my my own voice and somebody's anyway. Anyway, it's getting pretty late. It's midnight my time. It's got to be getting 11 o'clock y'all's time.
Yeah.
And I think I chased everyone away with my crazy conspiracy theories.
No, I think you're headed the right way. Okay. Keep going. If there was some way
With
for you to like play a Mr. Ballin video and then comment over it, I could go to sleep for that.
yeah. Well, Mr. Ballin does a pretty good job of explaining it. I don't know what I could add.
Who's in Oz?
You should check out the Lore Lodge. That's another good one.
Have you checked out Wendigoon?
No, I haven't yet. I got a notification about him on Instagram. Yeah, Instagram. So I think maybe I might follow him on Instagram. I don't think I do on YouTube yet.
So you do have an answer. Bigfoot are chimera, half man, half beast, part of the knowledge brought to mankind by the fallen angels. I'm not familiar with the Dulce Basin thing.
Uh,
I'm going to bid you all adieu. Go lay my head down.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut her down. I'm actually using up a big part of my StreamYard. As of tonight, I used 13 hours
Ooh.
on StreamYard for the month. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut her down here, guys.
All right, everybody have a good evening. Like, share, and sub to Pat-Riot.
Thank you, lawfully. You fail to plan, you plan to fail. Eat what you prep, prep what you eat, and y'all be nice.